All right, it's Wednesday, May 31st. This is a pre-opening SPY report, about 15 minutes to go before the open. We are gapping a little lower this morning here. This is the last day of the month. We started this week here at the green line, so weekly continuity is still going to be to the downside. As I discussed in the closing video yesterday, we do have a fair value gap, at least the first one, between the high of this bar and the low of this bar. And you can see the blue lines here. We are opening near the bottom. If I shift to that, the pre-market range here between the blue lines, we're opening near the bottom of that range into this fair value gap. So does that mean we're immediately going to fill this in and come back up? I have no idea. We'll know more by the end of the day on that. But for now, it seems like we're going to head down and at least fill this in to start. So what I would love here on the 15-minute chart is some kind of just an initial buy up in here that sets up a sell signal, kind of a green to red kind of move, pretty aggressive, that at least should test down into this area. We'll see what if we get there. If we really follow all the way through to our next target, which is the low of this green bar. If you spread out the 15-minute chart, is it possible that we're making a higher high up in here and going to come all the way back down? Anything's possible. So we're going to go with that for the time being until we really get above this pre-market high, which is kind of the midpoint of yesterday. I'm not interested in any kind of long trades at all. It's just a matter of what kind of downside action we're going to get today. A possibility is if we come down into this gap and want to reverse, let's just say eventually we work down there, then you have a big push above the intraday high at some point and just kind of pause there. Then maybe we just fill that in and we're continuing our uptrend, which we're still anticipating. In the bigger picture right now, I still just think on the weekly chart, until we get below the midpoint of this big buying tail, that we're still biased to the upside, but obviously we're going to start with some downside action today. So I'm comfortable going short and just seeing what unfolds and seeing if maybe this is it possible we get a big down day that goes all the way, that starts a big push to the bottom of this range. Anything's possible until we see how the day ends. So I'm just going to kind of follow this. I'd like to get short in some form and see what kind of structure unfolds into this gap and maybe below. I'm trying to think of another example of how you would want to, another thing is if you get short here, or if something happens and it just pauses for a while, then play the breakdown. If we go down to start and you miss that first move, look for a pullback and then maybe a secondary move lower. So a lot's going to be, how the 15-minute chart unfolds. Again, ideally, I'd like to get some buying in here, just people thinking it's a big uptrend. We have an opportunity to jump in long right out of the gates and continue with this big uptrend that's been in place for 3 days now. And then that just fails and then eventually rolls over a little bit to the downside. So big thing's going to be today, since we're making a 2-down day, it looks like right from the start, how much lower we go. We'll monitor the structure, and if something unfolds, in the morning that looks interesting on the 15-minute chart, I'll point that out. So in the end, let's just see how much downside we get today, but know that this could be an area where we could be setting up for a nice long trade, going into June, if we just kind of hold in this area, and structure will tell us that. So kind of going to be aggressive on the short side to start this morning, and let's see, what unfolds.